Hey guys, it's Fanatic Guide, and in today's video we'll be reviewing the fourth pre-release for Minecraft version 1.15, also known as the Buzzy Bees update, which will be releasing in its full version next week. And besides the performance enhancements and bug fixes, it'll also include the additions of beehives. All that going down there, which I'll cover in the video. But right now it's just generally 1.15. I'll also cover what the fourth pre-release added, which, by the way, was released yesterday. So, this is what the beehive looks like. You can craft it by putting 3 wooden planks on top, 3 wooden planks of your choice on the top and bottom, like a sandwich, and then 3 honeycombs in the middle. And by the way, honeycombs are new for the 1.15 update. And they can house bees, and they can also fill up with honey. And it's a block entity that cannot be pushed by piston. But that's very interesting. And onto it, the fact that it can fill up with honey, the amount of honey in beehive increases as bees gather nectar and return to their hive. And the player can harvest honeycomb and honey bottles from the hive using shears and glass bottles respectively. And if the player breaks or harvests honey from the hive, the bees will become hostile to the player. And that's just something that I wanted to share because that's not something listed on here because I wanted to save space. And then also something. Bees inside the hive will not turn hostile if it's harvested with Silk Touch, but the bees outside of the hive will. And bees will not turn hostile if there's a lit campfire underneath the hive when honeycombs or honey bottles are harvested. And like I said, it's a block entity that can't be pushed by pistons. And when it's instantly mined in creative mode, they'll drop as an item if they contain any bees. And then we move directly on to bee nests, which spawn naturally in flower forests, plains, and sunflower plains biomes. And they function the same as beehives but require Silk Touch to be dropped. And then the honey block, which looks a lot like the slime block, but it's yellow and it doesn't have a geometric shape on the very inside. This is its crafting recipe for honey bottles. I simulated that to look like a crafting table menu. But this, you can craft it any way you want to, either in your survival inventory or in a crafting table. But the good thing is, when you craft that, the bottles won't be consumed and will remain in the crafting grid. But, on the other hand, honey blocks are stickier than slime blocks. And the player's jump height is drastically reduced. And players walk very slow and cannot sprint on them at all. And The effect also works through non-full blocks like carpets and slabs. When a honey block is pushed or pulled by a piston, it'll try to move all the adjacent blocks in the same direction. And it'll work the same way as slime blocks. However, honey blocks will not stick to slime blocks. And I ended up not reading, going from that direction. If entities touch the side of a honey block, it will slide down slowly. Which is very unfair. And also, if an entity is on a honey block that is pushed by a piston, entity will be moved with the honey block, which is a sign that I forgot to read. Like, I was reading something, I was reading this and that, and then my mind went off somewhere else. I'm like, oh well. Past the past. Then, landing on a honey block will reduce your fall damage. And with that in mind, your fall damage will be cut to about 1/5 of normal, equal to this. Or in other words, 1/5 of one half heart for every block fallen after the first 3, rounded up. And mobs will usually avoid walking on honey blocks because there'll be a very sticky situation if they do. And honey blocks don't conduct redstone signals. And not surprising at all, bees will occasionally eat from the honey blocks if they're placed near beehives or bee nests. Now, we move on to honeycombs, which can be crafted with 4 honeycombs and are purely decorative. And now we move on to items. First is the honey bottle, which I already mentioned back there. Can be used to craft honey blocks. They restore 6 per point. And 2.4 saturate. And they remove the poison effect when consumed. They can be crafted into sugar and honey blocks, and, like buckets, empty kind, they can be stacked up to 16. And now we move on to honeycombs. They're obtained by using shears on beehives or nests at a honey level of 5. The beehive or nest has to be at that level. Same thing. And they can be used to craft beehives and honeycomb blocks, like I showed back there. And now I move on to mobs. Dun 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 dun. Bees. Spawning. They have 10. They are neutral mobs. That's what they look like. They live in groups near hives and nests. And if a bee does not have a home nest, it will wander until it finds one. And it can hide inside hives. And at the most, there can be 3 bees per. And when attacked, all the bees from the same hive will try to find the original. And the same thing will happen when their hive or nest is destroyed. However, placing a campfire under the nest will make bees, which I find interesting. And they have an anger data tag, which defaults to 0. But when the bee is attacked, this tag is set to around 700. And when they attack, they give poison to the target for 10 seconds. And they die 50 to 60 seconds after attacking. And when bees attack the player, their eyes will turn. Affected by the bane of Arthur. I said. And they can be bred using any type of flower, including wither roses. And they'll follow any player that's holding a flower, small one. And if the player holds still, the bees will hover around them. And they'll hover around the flower and will enter pollinated state after a time. And when it's pollinated, pale white particles will come off of them. And the bees will also have its texture change, blue dots similar in color to the pollen particle. And bees will try to pollinate wither roses despite the fact that they are harmed by the wither effect they give. And when they pollinate flowers, a small popping noise is heard. And they'll return to their nest after entering the pollinated state. A pollinated bee can accelerate the growth of crops and sweetberry bushes. And after enough bees enter a bee nest, in the pollinated state, the bee nest will be filled with honey. And it's getting dark. And yes, I was reading more things that aren't on signs. I'm primarily doing this to save space, like I said earlier in the video. And bees will try to avoid water like all bugs, except the ones that can actually tolerate them. Except the ones that can tolerate water. And then, being killed by a bee sting results in a death message, which is players was or were stung to death. And then beyond that, additions basically changes the. And then the following changes to the game have been made, which include but are not limited to bells, now being able to be rung with redstone power. Like so. Yeah, that. You weren't able to do that in 1.14, now you can do that in 1.15. Now also, campfires can now be extinguished with a shovel. Let me demonstrate. Yeah. Did we do that in 1.14? Didn't think so. Now also, firework rockets dispensed from a dispenser can now travel in the direction they were fired in. Let me demonstrate that. Yeah, that was enough demonstrating, but yeah, there are more changes beyond this, but get the point. For what's changed in 1.15. Now, we get to changes in the new pre-release. Exciting. I said I'd get to this, and we have. So, some changes that have happened in the fourth pre-release of Minecraft Java Edition 15. Some changes include performance improvements, and also fixes to fishing particles, squidding particles, and gateway particles. They fixed, in general, they fixed particles, including those particles I've just mentioned, including also conduit, entity falling from height impact, sweeping attack, damage attack, slash particle command, mycelium, underwater, nether portal, end portal, brewing stand, spawner, barrier, armor stand breaking, and suspended gravity affected block particles. Which is a lot to say. I know. I should have just typed it all up on my video editor and have that. I should have just let it do the work instead of just me saying it. But what are you gonna do? And now, some more changes. Precision. They increased precision for the spawning of prime TNT entities at higher coordinates. However, indirectly ignited TNT from other explosions is still affected. And increased precision for the books of enchanting tables checking for players. However, there are still issues with the book not opening clearly enough. And features. Checkerboard background for unfilled sections of the map now has its own feature. And now back on the particles thing. They increased the floating point precision used for certain types of particle spawning to 64-bit from 32-bit. And this fixes precision errors at high coordinates, especially beyond 16,777,216 blocks, or 2 to the 24th power, causing them to appear where they are expected to appear instead of offset to only spawning every even block, which would have been bad if it continued to be 32-bit. And in terms of bug fixes, there have been 21 issues fixed. And so, yeah. I hope you found this helpful. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next